The moving Memorial Vietnam Wall is an exact replica of the memorial in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. It is approximately 1/2 of the size of the memorial. It contains the name of 58,249 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service to our nation, with the first casualty being Richard Fitzsimmons, Jr. in 1956, with the last casualties occurring of 18 on May 1975. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was not a short war. It covered a long period of time, and many men served, and many men are due the honor that we owe them. And I would also again like to express my thanks to Barb and Craig for their moving this wall throughout the United States, because many of us will not have the opportunity to visit Washington. And this gives veterans and families of those that lost loved ones the opportunity to come and pay their respects and honor those that they lost. As I look at these 58,000 plus names on this wall, I can't help but think, what could have been? Could there have been one who would have found a cure for the many diseases that they're still researching on today? Cancer, Alzheimer's, AIDS. Could there have been an Einstein, an Edison? Could there have been a Picasso, or even maybe another Tony Bennett? Could there have been a great educator? Could there have been a great religious leader, such as Martin Luther King, Billy Graham, a famous rabbi, or who knows, even a future pope? But this is something we'll never know, because today these men and women stand straight and tall in the ranks of the Almighty. I would like to focus for just a few moments on a very special group of veterans whose names appear on this wall. They are the 8 women nurses that gave their life in the service to their country and fellow man. During the Vietnam War, 265,000 women served in our armed forces. And of this, 10,000 served in a combat zone of Vietnam. I'll guarantee you, any Vietnam veteran here today that ever had to visit an aid station or a field hospital will tell you that the greatest sound they ever heard was an American woman's voice offering words of encouragement. These nurses were of the great morale builders. And at this moment, or this time rather, I'd like to ask Kathy Owens, Jerry's wife, to come up and read the names of those 8 brave and courageous women.
Can you hear me? Second Lieutenant Carol Ann Drasba, 2/1866. Second Lieutenant Elizabeth Ann Jones, 2/1866. First Lieutenant Hedwig Diane Orlansky, 11/30/67. Second Lieutenant Pamela Dorothy Donovan, 7/8/68. Lieutenant Colonel Annie Ruth Graham, 8/14/68. First Lieutenant Sharon Ann Lane, 6/8/69. Captain Mary Teresa Kinker, 4975.
Thank you, Kathy. We that served in the military will never forget those brave women who were in our Nurses Corps. And I'm one that's very proud of the Nurses Corps because my mother was a member of the Nurses Corps in World War I. Thank God for these women. Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation, was one of the most interesting books I've ever read. And he was referring to the generation of World War II. And I agree with Mr. Brokaw 100%, because it is at the one time in our nation's history that I can recall that the entire nation was united for one cause, and that was to overcome those that would challenge our freedom. But from the birth of this nation, there have been men and women who stepped forth to serve their country that I say are also of the greatest generation. And today, without any doubt, the men and women who served in Vietnam were without a doubt the greatest generation. And you can applaud on that if you like. These men came from all walks of life and from all parts of our beautiful nation. They did not rely on political pull. They did not rely on their financial status. They did not flee the country to avoid the draft. When the nation called, they stepped forward. This nation is to be very proud of each and every one of them. Unlike past wars, when our veterans returned to their homeland and were treated with great respect and gratitude for their service, our Vietnam veterans returned home to slander, disrespect, and humiliation. And we as American citizens should be ashamed of ourselves for that. But today and now, we are thanking and giving tribute to these brave and wonderful men and women. That respect is due them for their service to their nation. And I would like to say that the homeless veterans, the biggest majority are Vietnam veterans, and they deserve this nation's respect. And without a doubt, those of our brave men and women serving our country today in Korea, in Germany, in Japan, and especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, they are without a doubt also of the greatest generation. In closing, let me speak of another special group of names that appear on this wall. They are the 8 brave men from the city of Norwood who gave their lives for the cause of freedom. These men, I'm sure, have family members and friends still living in the city of Norwood. And without a doubt, they most likely will be here and pay tribute and honor these men while the wall is here. And in closing, again, let me say thank you again to Jerry for a job well done, and may God bless the city of Norwood, our nation, and especially our troops in harm's way. Thank you.
I was going to have my daughter read these names, but I think she flew the coop up there helping the Vietnam War educated up there. David L. Baldwin, John J. Becker Jr., Terry B. Miller, Philip G. Davis, David L. Eaton, David L. Worthington Jr., Denny L. Asher, and Samuel R. Wall. Now you can retire the